I'm asking you to not compound this miscarriage of justice, and I'm asking you to give him 5 years in prison.
Ms. Rooker, do you want to?
I'm going to stand on this harsh remarks.
And State of Texas.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, I think the only people that have been vilified in this courtroom is the state of Texas. Mr. Rucker stood in this courtroom right here in this well, faced this jury and told them either Benjamin Elliott is a psychopath that kills for no reason, or he was suffering from a sleep parasomnia. The jury told us what they thought the answer to that question was. They called his family, and I understand, Judge. I understand where they're coming from. I understand why they're supporting Benjamin Elliott, and I understand what they're going through. I do. And my heart goes out to them. But here's my issue with what they just did. They called him up here to talk to you about what precautions they've taken to prevent him from sleepwalking again. But we all know in this courtroom that the 12 people from our community whose verdict we do respect, and that is justice being carried out, told us it wasn't sleepwalking. They said that it was his conscious objective and desire to commit that murder. If they believed sleepwalking as a defense, they would have said not guilty. And we stand by their verdict because that's how this legal system works. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to go to trial. We're supposed to allow members from our community to render a just verdict. And in this case, that was a guilty verdict. But not only did they reject the sleepwalking theory, this is what that tells us when they say that. That means, Judge, that at 4:28 p.m., the afternoon before this offense happens, this man set an alarm and deactivated at 4:01. And he's conscious and he's awake and he's not sleepwalking. And then that means he unsheaths that knife after pacing back and forth to his sister's room to see if she's awake, and he commits a heinous crime. They keep talking about the fact that we don't have a motive, but that isn't the same as not knowing. And what's more terrifying is the fact that they believe that the lack of motive should tell this court you should be light on sentencing. You should be hoping that the defendant can be rehabilitated with no remorse. With no remorse, there can be no rehabilitation. And I don't have to tell this court whether or not the defendant was remorseful. Your Honor's been presiding over this whole trial. We went through autopsy photos of his sister that he stabbed in the neck twice. There's been no remorse. And everything that we know about the evening of that night tells us that the act is so heinous. This isn't a question about what message do we send to other defendants who stab their twin sisters in their sleep. The question is about public safety. When do you, as a court, feel safe in releasing this man into our community? And he is the type of evil you don't expect. His sister went to sleep in the same house as him that night. And the jury told us he's not sleepwalking. And the court heard the cell phone evidence. This man took a knife, unsheathed it, waited till his dad went to sleep, walked the distance between their two doors to see if she was awake, and then walked into her room, stood over her body, and stabbed her twice in the neck, and used the pillow to smother her screams. It's horrifying, and it's a heinous act, and it's the type of thing that you don't see coming. And she's asleep in her bed. And it is offensive that they're asking the Elliott family about what precautions they've taken to prevent sleepwalking. When the jury's verdict is the jury's verdict. And they told this court, we didn't believe that theory. So now they're asking you to be remorseful for Ben. Because it just affects his sister. They're trying to make an argument that you shouldn't take the Elliott's son away from them. They've already lost their daughter. We are here because of him. And he is the one that went into her room that night and snuffed the life out of her. While she laid asleep, defenseless, a 17-year-old girl, his own twin sister, that came out of the womb with him. He her life. And if she's not safe in a house with him, while she's asleep in her bed, where would she have been safe? What does that tell us about our community? What message do we send when we say Benjamin Elliott stabbed his twin sister? It's not about a message. It's about how do we keep us safe because you don't see him coming. And I don't have to tell this court about the lack of remorse he's had. This court's been presiding over this trial. And respectfully, as a member of our community, and what 12 jurors told us from our community, I'm asking that this court not sentence this defendant for any number of years less than 40.
When assessing punishment, I look at many factors that help guide me. This is a wide range of punishment, 5 years to 99 years or life. I look at the criminal history of the defendant. I look at similar cases with fact patterns and what the juries have decided, and there's not, I mean, we could all agree on that. And I've looked. I look at what the jury has told me, and the defense, they did not agree with your defense. I'm sorry, they didn't. However, unsolicited, they told me to be lenient with Mr. Elliott. I will tell you that. And I've told you all that when I spoke with them. I didn't ask. They tell me. I look at cases I've tried as a prosecutor and defense attorney, try to look at similarities to see what I think is just. I look at mitigation in this case, and there's mitigation. I mean, there is no criminal history. He seems to be portrayed as a nice person. I can't argue with that. I look at aggravated circumstances. The complaining witness, if she was young, she didn't deserve what happened. I look at how the defendant behaved on bond. I sit there, and I've told everyone before, I see what people do, not what they say, and I just watch them, and just to see what they're going to do. And he's behaved. We can't argue with that. I think about the victim. I do. I will. And I have. I think about the victim's family, which is also his family. I think about the defendant's age. I think about rehabilitation and punishment. And I think about what I think is just and what I can live with. Because the bottom line is I have to be able to live with whatever sentence I give. And I take that very seriously. Stand up, Mr. Elliott. Jury finding you guilty of the offense of murder. Your range of punishment is from 5 years to 99. I sentence you to 15 years in prison. At this time, you will go with the Sheriff's Department, where your sentence will be fulfilled in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. And you'll get the credit that you have received while out on bond. If you served any jail time, you'll receive that credit as well. Is there any legal reason why this court should not give you that punishment at this time? Any legal reason, Mr. Rucker?
No, Your Honor.
With that said, please go with the Sheriff's Department where you fulfill their sentence in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Thank you all. I don't expect anyone to be happy with this. Everyone loses.
We respect the court's decision.
Everyone loses.